in the world. Then when the Buddha explains, then they see there's a way out. There's a way out of their suffering. Because unless you go out into the world and experience suffering, you don't know what suffering is. After you experience suffering, then you come and wear the robe. If you wear it for the purpose of ending your suffering, that is good. Then you will strive, you see. But like nowadays, like you mentioned the Buddhist countries, the poor Buddhist countries, nowadays you find because some Buddhist families, they are very poor, they send their children to become monks and nuns. At the age of 8 years old or 10 years old, they send them to wear the robe. And they wear the robe for the rest of their life. And these people, they did not come into monkhood to cultivate, to practice, to get out of samsara. They come into monkhood to cari makan, to have a means of livelihood. Such people, they're not going to strive generally. That's why you find a lot of Buddhist countries, over a period of time, then Buddhism deteriorates. Because the people who come into monkhood, their purpose is not to strive. And sometimes people come into monkhood too young. Later, they don't see suffering. They still think they want to enjoy some more. So then they disrobe. But if they come into life, come into the robes after 30, then it's the best. I think. For unless they are very gifted people. There are some, they come and within a short while they attain Aryahood or Arahanthood. But those are exceptions. Generally, I think if a person has already worked for some time, has enjoyed some of the worldly pleasures, and then he comes and wears the robe, then he is no more. He doesn't have false ideas about the outside world. Whatever that needs to be enjoyed, he has already enjoyed it. Then he won't be easily attracted to the outside world. I see some Westerners, they come into monkhood very early. They go hitchhiking and they go to Thailand. They know about Buddhism suddenly at the age of 20-something, very young. Early 20s, they become a monk. That's very dangerous because they have not tasted enough of the world. And later, at the age of 50, many of them disrobe. So it's best to taste the world first. Of course, you come to monkhood too late in life, also very difficult because you have very fixed habits, And then your ego is also quite fixed already, so it's very difficult to change. Like the Suttas say, old monk, if the young monk, but more senior, ask him to do this, you cannot do that and all that, they get annoyed. This fellow can be my grandson, teaching me how to do this, not to do that and all that. This forest tradition, there are good and the bad points about it. The good point is that it encourages a monk to live in the forest monastery, which is quite ideal for practice. But if a monk wants to progress, he must study the suttas. Definitely must study the suttas, otherwise he does not get right view. Recently I've heard about some very respected Thai Ajahn, paying respect to some lay ascetic, which is quite surprising. So it's the danger is if you don't study the suttas, then you don't get right view. But right view is the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path that you must attain, because the suttas there's one sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 117, where the Buddha says the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path must start with right view. After you attain right view, that will bring you to right thoughts, which will bring you to right speech, which will bring you to right action, which will bring you to right livelihood, which will bring you to right effort, which will bring you to right recollection, which will bring you to right concentration. So it has to be practiced in that order. So if a person does not study the Buddha's words, then he follows his teacher, and his teacher does not have right view, so his disciple also does not have right view. And the danger I see nowadays, some of them are too proud of their tradition. Just because their teacher is famous, they rely on the name of their teacher. They don't understand our real teacher is not such a particular achan or a particular sayadaw, but the Buddha himself. The Buddha is our real teacher. So we must always go back to the Buddha. And also I see some monks in the forest tradition, sometimes they make a show of being ascetic, but sometimes some of their practice is actually wasting time. They go here, going there, they say on Tudong, but it's more like a sightseeing tour. They go here, they go all over the forest. I know one of our Malaysian monks, he stayed many years with a famous Thai Achan. Then when he came back, I asked him what method of meditation the teacher taught him. He said, no method. So you see, if the teacher doesn't teach you to meditate well, does not teach you the Dhamma, then you follow such a teacher, go traveling in the forest and all that, just to show how ascetic you are, then there's no point. That is not what the Buddha taught. So to practice the Dhamma Vinaya, we must understand what is in the Dhamma, what is in the Vinaya. If you don't understand the Buddha's words in the Dhamma and Vinaya, then you are not practicing the Buddha's Dhamma Vinaya. You are practicing the Achan's Dhamma Vinaya or the Sayadaw's Dhamma Vinaya, which is not the Buddha's Dhamma Vinaya. So we must always go back to the Buddha. Can I translate it?